Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. It's very good. Has a kind of cinnamon taste to it this morning, and I don't know why. That's kind of odd. Today is Monday, January 27th. Ah, last week of January. And welcome all of you. I know that if you're in the US, even around the world, that the amount of political chaos in the last week has been overwhelming, which is by design. And so the best thing we can do is don't get overwhelmed. It's easier said than done. But yeah, it's been a lot. A lot of people have been talking to me about it, trying to figure out how to continue to be creative and lead a decent life when there is like so much, so much. One little tidbit, I'll give you all this one. Uh, apparently, Native Americans have been told that they need to carry papers so that they can be inspected by ICE, which is deeply, deeply ironic because if we were to deport Native Americans back to where they came from, where would that be? Crazy times. It's all about racism. It's all about skin color. Um, just unreal. Just unreal. Frankly, I think the tribe should get together and deport all of us. Send us back to where we came from. Maybe we can pick if you've got a mix. I'll pick Scotland. I liked Scotland better than Ireland, but that's like a whole thing for me. Anyway, okay, so updates. I've been busy. I guess I've been busy. 37,000 words on Strange Familiar, closing in on midpoint. I figured out some things, so that's always a positive. um, and I, even though I've not been going as fast as I want to be, I do think it's good to mention that. I mean, that first week of January, end of December was a really good week. But then I overdid a little bit. But in the 3 weeks since, I've been steadily climbing at a nice rate, showing good training. And as far as monthly word count, this is going to be my best month since October of 2023. I mean, unless I get nothing done for the rest of the week, which I suppose is possible. Let's knock on wood there. I am, let's see how far away. Sorry if this is boring. I have to move the cursor over and like get in the right spot. So I'm beating 35,672, and I am at, would probably be an easier way to look this up, 34,647. So I will almost certainly have this be my best month since October 2023, which kind of feels like I'm back. So that's great before things got really crazy. And if I stayed on this trajectory, which I probably won't, but if I did, it would be my best word count since 2021. It's all of that not traveling. I decided not, I probably didn't say it on here, but I decided not to go to Wild and Windy West. I had no pre-orders for it. Nobody was saying anything to me about looking forward to seeing me there. I did talk about this because I said that I got invited to Phoenix Confusion in June. So, I figured, I'm going to be there a few months after that, and I'll have more copies of Never the Roses there, which I wouldn't at Wild and Windy. And, the thing about Wild and Windy is I gave them plenty of notice and told them that I wasn't going to make it after all. And I asked if I could sell my table to someone else, which is like $350. And they said no. And I know they have a waiting list of authors. And when I said, well, that seems predatory and unfair, that I should be able to sell my table to someone else. And they said, no, it very clearly says in all of our paperwork that there's no refunds. And I was like, um, did I use the word refund? I did not use the word refund. I said I wanted to sell it to someone else, which they are going to do, right? So they will be able to double dip. And they're like, well, but we spent time on social media advertising you and stuff. It's like it was not $350 worth of social media time. So I probably won't ever do anything with that group again. Uh, yeah, I mean, and there was a snotty tone to it. I mean, I get being busy, I get being annoyed, but sometimes people have to drop out, and I totally get, like I would not want them to be out of the money. I would not ask for a refund, but to prohibit me from selling my table to someone else so that they can make that money selling it to someone else, no. So I'm not going anywhere in February is the plan. Uh, Actually, I think I'm not really scheduled to go anywhere till ApolloCon in April, so that's nice. Uh, Over the weekend, I did get a bunch of stuff done. I got a lot of the tip-in sheet signed, a lot. I realized I shouldn't have tried to figure out number of pages. I kind of went that way because they told me it was going to be like 8,000 to 9,000, and I counted up how many were in an inch and trying to figure it that way. And I'm realizing I should have just gone by inches. So, pro tip, much easier to just figure it by inches and measure progress by inches if you're one of the people like me who has to measure progress on everything. So, anyway, let's see how much I got done. 3 inches. We just don't know how many. I'll figure that out later today. I also got my bonus content done, which I was chagrined that I had forgotten about that. Uh, Deanna, assistant editor, asked me about when I was going to send that, and I was like, oh, that fell out of my head and off of my to-do list, and I'm really sorry. I don't know how that happened. Sometimes it does. But at any rate, it was fine. I got it done over the weekend so I could go back to focusing on Strange Familiar. The thing about bonus content, is you have to go back and get your head into that story again, right? And so we had all talked about Deanna and editor Ali and me and Agent Sarah. Sorry, I was going to put some polish on my nail here. And we had talked about what the bonus content should be, and I still had to go back and revisit the story. Uh, I don't know, like probably if I were super organized, maybe there would be a way to do this thing where I would like go through and make bonus content ahead of time. I guess that makes no sense, does it? Uh, yeah, so I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was just, I don't know, the mental effort did take a little doing. So, but I got that done. We'll see if it's enough. I offered to do one piece more, but my dear reader letter came out longer. I hand wrote that out. So, did I tell you? I did tell you all, like after Christmas, that my brilliant nephew Britt gave me this beautiful pen, and it's a Scrivener, only it's Scrivener, like veins of blood. And this is a very dark green, which is my absolute favorite color. And he sent me this pen, and it is convertible. It has you can either use it as a fountain pen or as a regular ballpoint pen. You switch out the cartridge, right? And it's tremendously clever. I'm going to show all of you on video and try to describe, but let's see if I could show it to you. So here is the ink cartridge inside. So you don't dip it, and it has a plunger. And what you do is you scroll the plunger all the way down, and then you dip it into your bottle of ink. And he sent me these great purple inks, and that's what I'm using to sign. And you dip it in the ink and then scroll up on the plunger, and it sucks the ink up in there. And then you wipe it off and reassemble. And so it does not get ink everywhere. It's really just the best thing. And so I use that to write out my letter for the readers. So there is verisimilitude, people. There is no doubt that I hand wrote that letter. There will be no doubt, really, that I hand signed all of these, which, I mean, I feel like I need to caveat that there are a lot of people out there, some of them my friends. I mean, others not necessarily not my friends, but just that I don't know very well, that they can't sign that many books because of their hands, she said, as she's fixing up her nail polish. I baby my hands so much. In fact, if you're on video, you can see behind me, I have this hand massager. You put your hand in there and the machine massages it. David gave me that a year ago, Christmas. Best thing. I have compression gloves. I do all of these things to take care of my hands. And so far, I'm doing all right. But at any rate, that the Dear Reader letter. Do you want to see it? I'll hold it up. Okay, I'll show you. I saved all of my false starts too for the archives. Jeremy, Brett, if you are listening, I don't know if you listen to the podcast. I'm going to send you this stuff. So here's my Dear Reader letter. I'm deliberately, probably if you really cared, you could freeze and zoom in to read it. But there's my 2 pages, and it's complete with crossouts and blots. And it's funny to look at it and see this, because I haven't done handwritten correspondence in so long. But when I used to do that back before the internet, this is how my letters to people looked. And so there was sort of this odd sense of nostalgia to that. And no, I don't want to go back to handwriting letters because it takes a long time. I love social media for that. I love the messaging systems for this. I do not want to go back to handwritten correspondence, but for something like this, for a special thing like this, it's kind of cool to see, huh? Yeah, so at first I started writing it on the tip-in sheets, the back of the tip-in sheet, so that I could, like make it be in the same size. And I thought, no, I'll make them shrink it down because I was having too hard of a time fitting it all in there. I'm showing all of my little false starts to people, just in case it's interesting. And I'll give you a little hint. It could be that the bonus content will be similarly themed. How's that? So I posted a thing over the weekend, or I guess yesterday morning, feels like longer, on Threads. I've been trying to do like a little bit of microblogging on Threads just to, I don't know, take advantage of the different platforms. And there are things I like about Threads. I think I said on here that I'm definitely falling in with the people who are saying that, oh, dang it. Forgot that my polish was wet. I need to put on that clear coat. I tucked my hair behind my ear rather obsessively. And now this is all messed up. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm staying on the social media platforms. I mean, I really don't blame people who are not. Now that Meta seems to be owning everything in the damn world. But I am on Blue Sky too. Still, my point, and I do have one, other than that my nail polish is obsessing me. Yeah, I don't want to abandon it. There are some people who are suggesting, and I don't know how fair it is to suggest. live in an age of paranoia because the conspiracies are real. Uh, but that they don't want us talking to each other. They don't want us on social media platforms. And I'm sure it's a push pull because like Zuckerberg, who owns Meta, wants us as part of his captive audience and on there forever, uh, so that he can sell advertising. But they also want to control what we think about and talk about, right? That's the living under a fascist regime. So, my point, oh, and I did have one other than my nails. Sorry. I don't know how the influencers do it, like they're like always doing things at the same time that they're talking. I guess they edit, which I don't. Anyway, I am not an influencer. There, but for the grace of. So I talked about housework, and it's amazing the kinds of responses I've been getting on housework. And maybe I'll try linking to the thread in case you all want to read it. But the really interesting thing has to do, and I think I'm going to reply to it, like about all of the housework falling onto women and men acting like they can't or won't or don't, or all of these things, all of these deeply programmed things that reinforce that whose responsibility is this. And the thing is that a lot of keeping the house clean, of like laundry and dusting and all of the things, keeping food in the house and cooking and all of this stuff about like daily life, keeping daily life going, falls on women in a way that is invisible, and we perpetuate that invisibility, right? And I'm not going to dig into the whole thing, but inevitably, a man popped up on there and complained about how he could never please his wife unloading the dishwasher. And he even, I believe, used the word arcane system. And I sat on it for a while because I have heard this argument all my life that, well, I can't please her. I can't do it the way she wants it done, therefore I won't do it. And we've talked about the whole weaponized incompetence thing, but I think that this is like a step past that, or a step different than that, because it occurred to me that the things that I have had to learn, or wanted to learn, that were immense things, I mean, they taught me how to do it, right? Like when I met David, part of it was that he taught me how to throw a ball. We were on a softball team together, and he taught me how to throw a ball because nobody ever had. And this is like one of these perpetuating things where boys will sneer at girls, and I'm deliberately using boys and girls, for like throwing like a girl or running like a girl, without any context of that we're not taught to do these things. And I think it's changed, but like I was a bookish girl. I didn't know how to throw a ball properly. And even though my stepdad would do stuff with me, like I remember playing catch with him because he wanted me to get better at it, he never showed me how to wrap my fingers around the ball, and how to hold my arm and do these things that were like the first things that David showed me. And it was one of the things that, like, even before I fell in love with him, it was one of the things I liked about him first, was that he was patient and not contemptuous, and that he said, here, there is a technique. I mean, it was like the rays of light, right? I didn't realize that there was a technique. I don't know why, but nobody had ever told me that. All those gym classes in elementary school and high school, nobody had ever said there's a way to hold the ball that makes it easier to throw, that makes it throw better. And there's a way to move your arm. Instead it was like, just throw harder, that kind of thing. And it's amazing when someone tells you how to do it. And I was thinking about that with like loading and unloading the dishwasher. I know people don't agree and everyone has their own way, but like if you know that the person in your life who has expertise at loading and unloading the dishwasher, because I'm going to go with she, because she has done it a million times. I want to calculate this before I reply on the thread, but she there's this inherent contempt, right? It's like, well, she has this arcane way of doing it. And it's like, yeah, she has expertise. She knows how to load it so the dishes get clean and how to unload it so that the dishes are where people can find them. Those are the key points, right? You want to maximize how many dishes you can get in there and still get them all clean. You want them put away where people can find them. And the fact that these guys are like, well, she doesn't like the way I do it. It's like, no, it's because you're not doing it the right way. And men are allowed to tell women, you're not doing this the right way. But if a woman says, no, you're not loading the dishwasher the right way, they act like that's capricious. And yeah, so, and I think that's at the core, a lot of these things. So, not about writing so much, but recognizing competence and expertise is probably falling out of fashion in today's political climate. So I don't know, maybe that's a good reason to do it more than ever. On that note, I hope you all get to spend this week demonstrating your expertise, whether you teach it to someone else or not. Enjoy your expertise because you earned that shit. Okay. I hope you all have a great week, and I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.